Come and fill our homes with your presence. You alone are worthy of our reverence. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. Lord, we vow to live holy, bowing our knees to you only. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. Staying together, praying together, every storm we can weather, trusting in God's word. We need each other, fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers, in harmony and love. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord.
Indeed, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We choose to serve the Lord. Good evening, one and all, and welcome to, let me say, the last episode of the Grace Home Show for the year 2021. Thank you so much for sticking with us right from the middle of this year when we started the show till the very last one. Thank you so, so much. I want to welcome everyone. Those on Facebook, please don't forget, share, share, share. I normally would come on in the beginning and ask everyone to share. And I want to say sorry for the late start as well. When it comes to technology, sometimes you can't help it. So sorry for the late start, but thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget, call everyone, text someone, share the broadcast on Facebook, tell them Grace Home Show has started. And today you don't want to miss anything. It's fully loaded, filled with wisdom that you're going to need. I want to say welcome to everyone on YouTube. I want to say welcome to everyone who's tuned in via Global Word Network on the radio. We've got Modern Ghana. We've got Garden Radio as well. And I want to welcome those on the radio from Germany. We've got people from the United States. We've got people from India. Yes, okay. We've got people from the UK, from Ghana, from Italy, Paraguay, Spain, Canada, Cote d'Ivoire, France, Mali, and Libyan. We see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. So today, what are we talking about? We've already 20 minutes, no problem. We'll do justice the rest of the time. We're talking about nutrition and public health today. And with me to speak on this topic today is she is a nutritionist, she's a lecturer in public health, a lady reverend, and mother. And you know what I love about this lady? She's a prayer warrior. Okay, so she cuts on every side. Her name is Mrs. Hannah Tusule Asiedu Korang. Let's welcome her. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Lauryn.
Look, the look alone.
Uh,
Oh right. So those on Facebook, please don't forget, keep sharing, keep sharing. Mama, Mommy Kata, I just want to say welcome to those on Facebook. I see Mommy Kata. She said, "Good evening, everyone." Well, I'm on myself. I can see Mama Emily. She's on. She said, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you too." Okay, I need to learn. IT team, thank you. Okay, I see Mama Mercy. She said, "Good evening, precious ones. Good evening, my sister." Yep, I see Mama Adra. Hello, Mama Adra. She said, "Good evening, Minister Lauren. Good evening to you too, Mummy. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us this evening." Oh, wow. Suge Knight. Is it a Suge Knight who's like the producer in America? But thank you. Nice. Oh, thank you for joining us this evening. And the next person, okay, Mama Vancy said, "You're looking beautiful." Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, there are two ministers on the line today, a lady reverend, actually. So, yes, yes, yes. Please, those that you don't see online, please text them, send them the link, tell them that Greystone Show has started. And I know sometimes there's one person I love, Pastor Gloria, that sometimes I don't see you on, but I know you do listen because she would always talk to me about it. So, good evening to you wherever you are, and thank you so much. Now we're gonna go zoom straight in. Lady Reverend.
Hello, Lauren, and hello to our viewers from all over the world. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
Okay. So I'm gonna go in straight in, and I'm gonna ask my very first question. We hear nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. Is it all about just the food we eat? What at all is nutrition? Someone would ask.
So nutrition is simply put, just the process of getting food to sustain our lives as living beings. So, as human beings, it's just about um, the food we eat, how it nourishes us. So, as we had to sustain life, and it involves a number of processes. So, anything that will ensure that those processes in our physical bodies as human beings go on smoothly to sustain our lives. So we know, basically for everyone, we know we eat to stay alive. But how do we stay alive? We eat to get energy. We eat to get nutrients. To repair tissue, build more tissue,
Mm,
keep us going. So all of those processes, they're biochemical processes actually that take place. Well, physically, it's talking about physical food. So it involves processes like eating. I'm not sure if our viewers can see our screen, but if not, I will talk everyone through it. So the first
oh,
one,
yes, you can share it.
okay, so I
Yeah, the
am
slides. Yeah.
actually sharing. I hope it's,
Okay. Cool.
I am sharing. It's,
Thank you.
I hope, yes. Okay, it's showing now. Yes. So that's it. So that's what we have there. The process of obtaining food to sustain life, as I said, and this
Yeah.
involves ingestion. Ingestion is simply putting food in your mouth or eating.
Mm-hmm.
So, in layman's language, that's eating. And
Right.
absorption is where the contents of the food, that's the nutrients, are drawn out. So, the body has the ability to process that and pick out what it needs from it. So, that's through the digestive process.
Mm-hmm.
And then so absorption and assimilation also take place. Assimilation is just absorbing and taking in what it needs to perform what it has to do. So, for example, if you get you need energy. Our body gets energy mainly from the carbohydrates we eat, and it processes it to the simplest form, as we will call the simple sugars. Simplest form is glucose, and the body is able to absorb it that way and use it that way to convert it to the form of energy that we need, to move your arm and even do the very act of eating or walk around or do anything. So just anything that involves energy. And then the biosynthesis is also another process, which is where the body would use what it's absorbed to form other chemical substances or other bioforms to keep the body. And then the catabolism, so they all sound scientific, but I'm trying to break them
Yes,
down.
they do. I'm
Catabolism is
looking at
just
them thinking, okay.
now I feel like I'm in the classroom.
That's all right. You a lecturer, so I understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's just where again we're using where the body is using breaking it down to use it for energy, the simplest way
Mhm.
just to draw energy. So you're eating your banku or rice or fufu or something, and all your body wants to know is, can I move my leg, or can I see, or can I just sit, kind of thing. The energy to be able to move, and the ability to be able to do that. And then of course the final process is excretion. So when it's gone through
Yeah.
all those processes, the body now disposes of what is not needed, or the byproducts of going through the whole process of making use of that food to sustain the
Mhm.
life. So basically that's, so we're looking at everything I've said. Our nutrition has to do with making sure that the food we eat can sustain these processes. So they're the right ones that would be absorbed properly, that will give us the nutrients that we need. And they are not just, did you know that there are certain food items we eat that are not nutritionally um, useful to us? you know
I've actually heard
they
people
don't,
say that,
yeah,
but
so certain things
mhm.
exist, but they don't actually give us much, although
Mm,
we might enjoy eating them, but they don't give us much.
mhm.
So it's important that we think about the food we eat in that sense, that how useful will it be to us in maintaining our physical bodies. So that's it about nutrition to the everyday person. How much of the food you eat, is it quality food? Would it go through? Would it pass? These processes. Would it be useful enough? So basically, that's what it is when we think about nutrition. So with that in mind, that would set us thinking about really what we put inside us.
Definitely, definitely. I don't want to go ahead of my, the discussion we're having this evening. And oh, please, viewers, as I always say, this discussion, anytime we're having it, it's not just one person. Wisdom is not in the head of one person. And if you've got any questions, like I always say, please, please, definitely write it down there. And when I see it, I will read. And by the grace of God, Lady Reverend, I'm not going to stop saying it, Lady Reverend Hannah would answer it for us. You know what? I've heard sometimes I get confused with these foods that we have to eat. 1 minute they're telling us, oh, you have to drink a lot of orange juice because it's really good for you. Then the
Mm,
next minute you're hearing them telling us on the news that, oh, and even orange juice is not good for you. And I'm thinking sometimes it's so confusing. You don't even know what you're supposed to eat because 1 minute you're being told is good, the next minute you're being told is not good.
mm.
I don't know. Is orange juice good for us?
Oranges is good because orange, and not just orange juice, but the citrus family, they're good because they tend to have high levels of vitamin C, which we need.
Yeah,
So
right
they're
now.
good, but also like everything else that's good, there might be groups of people who may not need too much of it, um,
Mm.
depending on their health status. So
Oh,
sometimes, and then they the way we have the orange juice, whether it's fresh, whether it's processed, whether it's from concentrate, or it's just, it says orange juice on the box, but we know it's not natural. That also, determines whether we get the vitamin C that we're supposed to get
really?
from it. Yes,
How,
exactly.
how would how would we know? Because I always
Yes.
have this
So
argument with my husband. When I buy orange juice, he goes, "Oh no, this is concentrate or whatever he says," and I'm like, "It says orange juice. It is orange juice. I'm buying it." He goes, "No, don't buy it.
no,
It's not healthy." And I'm like, "Oh God."
he's
So how do
right.
we know
He's
one
right.
is better? Really?
Good. So that
I'm
takes me
very
to a
happy right
point.
now.
yeah, so that takes me to a point of one crucial thing about eating, and particularly
Mm,
for us, well, I guess all over the world, because these days we eat more of, I mean, most of our food in the bid to preserve food to stay longer, we have a lot more processing and semi-processing going on. So I will talk about label reading. So it's important to read the label, and that's exactly what your husband is communicating. That when you're buying orange juice, it's important to see whether it's made. Concentrate means that when the fresh orange, as you know, the fruit,
yeah.
is squeezed for the juice, which is the real juice,
Oh,
and it is the real juice is drawn out. It actually goes through a process of some sort of cooking, which we call pasteurization in food
oh
processing,
wow.
and it's just a process to prolong its shelf life, because you can't, when you squeeze natural orange juice and you leave it sitting in your kitchen on your in your house, within a
Hmm.
few days, well, in a few hours, it will start to ferment, because there are
Yeah.
natural sugars in there, and natural bacteria that occur would begin to process it, break it down, turn it into something else.
Um,
So turning fruit juice is not just orange juice into what we call concentrate. It's taking it through a certain process to prolong the shelf life. So one, to minimize the live and harmful bacteria in there, so that, because it's bacteria that cause decomposition of everything that's living, including
mm,
food and fruits. So pasteurization would heat it to a certain level, so that those groups of bacteria will be destroyed, will be killed, and then sometimes in most cases these days, extra, well, additional sugar, or free sugars added there, so that makes it
yeah.
um, you know sweeter than the natural orange you would
Orange
eat with.
juice.
And also, if you're having the fruit, the real fruit, which would have come at some point in this presentation, but that's fine, it's good I'm saying it now. It's probably
Sorry, we're gonna
better
go
to,
there.
no, that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes it's, we get the points better that way. We can let it be as organic as possible. It's fine.
Okay,
And
okay.
sometimes when you actually eat the fresh fruit, you're
Mm,
better off. You're getting your fresh fruit there, which is not adulterated. You're
mm,
getting, most importantly, you're eating some of the pulp that come with it. So you're
yeah.
getting more fiber with it. So it's not just about the pure, simple sugar, mostly the glucose and the fructose in there, but also
Mm,
some fiber, which helps, particularly for some people when it comes to certain health conditions,
mm,
like diabetes, etc. So it's actually good to go with the fiber, and the body is able to handle things better than just having the pure um, um, liquid part, and then maybe some additional sugar in the carton that you
right.
happily bought in the shop.
I know, right? Okay, so next time if somebody goes to the market and they're gonna get the orange juice, don't go for the one that says concentrate from concentrate.
Y- Yes, it's better. I mean, once in a while you can have it, and these days what they try to do to compensate for the destruction of the vitamin C, which by the way is destroyed at high temperatures. Okay, so that's why.
Oh,
So you end up with a happy, 1 liter carton of orange juice from the shop, but it actually doesn't have much vitamin C unless it's been fortified again with vitamin C so that you can absorb it back in the body. So yeah,
okay.
label reading is very, very important. And even with the
Well,
concentrate, sometimes it will say, maybe 20%, 2%, 50%, or is, half and half pure juice and concentrate, etc.
yeah.
So it's important. The more natural, the better, of course.
The more natural, the better. I hope
Yeah.
you're listening. Ah, my husband is, when you were talking, he was just liking. I was like, oh my God, he would not
Oh
let me
yeah, it's
hear the last of
probably,
it when we are done.
throwing his fist in the air. He won.
I want to say good evening to Mama Comfort Oka. She said, good evening, precious ones. Jane Helm said, good evening, or good evening to you too. Lady Rosemont Page, Lady Rosemont, hi. Okay, Lauren, look up. Okay. Lady Rosemont said, hello, Minister Lauren and Lady Pastor Hanatu. Hello to you too, Sister Rosemont.
Hello,
She said,
Lady
this is
Rosemond. Yeah.
great. Okay. Thank you. Mama Adra Bernie said, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you too, Mama Adra. And Tony said, oh, that must be your husband. I see the
That
surname.
is, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, that's
hello,
him.
sir. Thank you so much for allowing it to come. Well done. Absolutely insightful and powerful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And I see Na Akua on. Okay, she said, "Blessing, sisters, blessing to you too." All right,
Oh,
let me
Sister
go to
Nada.
my next. You know her.
Yeah, Sister
Okay.
Nada.
Oh God, here we go. All right, Mr. Nanaya Frimpong, that's my husband. He said, "Too much formulation in our processed foods at the market. Let's be mindful of our processed food on the market." This is so 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 true. But anyway, let's keep going. The next question I wanted to ask you is, if I okay, they say you are what you eat, okay,
Mhm.
but even though they're saying, oh, especially when it comes to Christmas, lots of people, we just, indulge. And then with the idea that in January, we're going to lose weight. That's what most people do. So in January, you have all these exercises, whatever else coming, they're throwing them at you because they know at Christmas,
Yeah.
we all indulge. Now, if I say, okay, you know what, they say we should eat healthy, eat a little bit of this, eat a little bit of that, can I just eat anything I want and then go to maybe Holland and Barrett? I'm not advertising for them, but any firm that sells all these tablets and then go and buy. I'm like, you know what? I'm not really a fruit person, or these vegetables. I'm tired of it. Especially our sons, they don't like eating their vegetables. So can I just let him eat the chicken and chips all the time, and then probably go to the what's it called, the shop, and buy him extra tablets, and that should be okay?
Okay. Right. So yes, Christmas and like every day else, every other day in the year, if we make it a habit to put our food together as healthily as possible, then we get to Christmas and it won't be too much of a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see the slides now, but I'll go straight to this one. So, in
Okay.
order to put our food together, so let's come to Christmas and then we'll
Mhm.
bring it out to every day. So, even at Christmas, we it's good for us to make use of what you can see on the screen now, called the Eat Well Guide. So,
Mhm.
this is probably more known. To the people in the UK, but I believe everybody else from the other parts of the world could pick a thing or two from this. This is just a
Mhm.
simple tool that's available for us. It's a public health tool to help us to put our foods together in a more healthy way from the various food groups. So as you can see it, it's a circular picture there representing your plate or your
Yeah.
bowl that you eat from,
Mhm.
and what portions should come from what food groups. So if we look at this, even at Christmas, when you've got all your turkey and your wache and your fufu with this zoo soup and everything, you
Yeah.
can still plan it in a more balanced way. So when you look at
Mhm.
that picture on there, the Eat Well guide, so if you look at it closely, you look at it, if it's split into three, a third
Mhm.
of it is the yellow part. I mean, my pointer doesn't show, but so the yellow part, the yellowish orange part
Yeah.
to the right
Mhm.
is the starchy side, the starchy carbohydrates, a third, and then the green part is also a third, and then the other three small groups make up a third. So when you think about it, whatever you have in your plate when you're eating should ideally have these proportions of carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables, or vegetables which are mainly
Mhm.
have mainly fiber, and then vitamins and minerals, and then carbohydrates because that's our first point of call for energy when we eat. um, and then the other three that make up the third group is the proteins, and then if there's any dairy, and then the oils and fats. So,
Mhm.
and the tiniest proportion is actually the fats. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea of putting together your food for each meal or for the day or for the week. So if you think about it, if you're making the effort and picking from these groups, and by the way, this is very generic and it's not limited to only a certain group of people. It cuts across cultures. So regardless of what will make up your carbohydrate base, your starchy
Mhm.
carbohydrate base from where you are from, whether yours is potatoes or rice or pasta or maize, it is still your base. And then your fruits and vegetables could be the fruits and vegetables that you're used to culturally as well. So if you're
Yeah.
not used to Brussels sprouts at Christmas and you want to go for your garden eggs, yes, by all means do so. But the most important thing is that you're including some vegetables. If it's lettuce, yes. If it's broccoli, fantastic. If it's carrots, if it's cauliflower, yes, by all means. And then the proteins and the dairy and the fat as well. If yours is um the poultry, yes, why not? If you're vegetarian or vegan, then you go for the plant sources, the beans and the
Mhm.
pulses, yes, by all means. But this is about what we put together in each meal, making up all the meals we have, and then that you know gives you a picture of what your diet is about. And the more variety we have, the better, because all the food groups may not have all the nutrients that we need. So we've got carbohydrates, got proteins, we've got vitamins, minerals, and some foods only contain a majority of some nutrient that you wouldn't get in others at all. So
Mhm.
the advice here is to, sometimes you hear them say eat a rainbow. The idea is rainbow
Yeah.
has many colors, so the more
Mhm.
colorful your diet is, then the more likely you would derive more nutrients from it. Remember the
Okay.
definition I stated in the beginning, that
Mhm.
the food should be able to sustain those processes of when you eat it. Is it quality enough? Is it appropriate? Is it enough? Is it the right proportion? Would it be digested to for the body to be able to find what it needs and be able to take it, and for it to be useful to it? This is all about. So that's where it starts, from making sure that you've got the right food groups in your food, I mean in your that meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or the Christmas party where you're gathering the whole family. So yes, fish, the chicken and chips, once in a while, if they don't have vegetables, that's fine. But it's very important to inculcate that into our children. That's a very crucial, and that's a whole subject we can talk about in a whole episode.
Yeah.
How to introduce children to vegetables and sustain it. But for the
Mm.
whole family,
Mhm.
if you start something, and one thing about habits, you continue to do it bit by bit, after a while it becomes part of you. You don't even realize you're missing out or anything. And that's the thing
Yeah.
about it's about that consistency. So if you're not used to including so much, making your, if you look, have a picture of your plate, and it's less than say even a quarter of it, or less than an eighth of it is made up of vegetables, you could start making those small changes by adding a bit more and a bit more, until you can see that it's about a third. And then over time, when it becomes a habit. So habits are either good or bad. We develop them over time and they become part of us. So if you think
Mm.
about it that way, eating healthily is something that can also be developed and maintained over a long period of time. It becomes part of you. You get to a point where if you don't have much of, a healthy meal, you actually feel it, because your body will react and you would know it.
Yeah.
So that's it. The Eat Well guide there, helping us to put our food together in the right
Mhm.
proportions from the right groups. And then, of course, those, I mean, with the Eat Well guide, all the other things outside, if you can see at the bottom left corner, you've got all those ones we would love to have during Christmas, the cakes and the chocolates and
Yeah,
all
the
those
crisp
things we
chocolate.
indulge
Yeah.
with. Yes, yes. So they're outside that ring, they're outside the plate, because I mean, we have to be real. We have them, and we're not saying don't have them at all, because we
Mhm.
know they are there. But it's
Yeah.
about how frequently and how much of it you have. So that's why it's outside of that place. So eat less of them, those groups of foods,
Mm.
less often. Eat less often, because
Mm.
those cakes, crisps, chocolates, and all of those foods are, if you look at them properly, they are high fat, high sugar, high salt foods. They are very much processed,
Mhm.
and those are the ones that over a long period of time, if we don't balance them out with our healthy meals, they'll get us into trouble health wise. And then of course, we've got at the top right corner, we've got the glass there. Very, very important to hydrate.
Mhm.
Drink a lot of water. 70% of our body is actually moisture, water. So
Mhm.
that tells you how important moisture is to the very existence of the body. Um, 6 to 8 glass, standard glass is the standard glass is about um, 250, 300 mils. About 6 to 8 of that in a day ideally is good. If you can do more, that's better. And that brings me to some time ago I did a session like this, and somebody asked, what if I'm in town and I drink so much water and I need to use the loo? What do I do? And I said, well, certainly when if you've got a bottle of water with you all the time, at least you carry a small bottle, and you're able to measure and see where you are, and where, and so depending on your movement, you know where you are, you know, you could at least for adults we can manage that. But I guess I said the most important thing is that you're doing it consciously. And if
Mhm.
you're far away from, those services, if in terms of using the toilet, it might not be every day, it might be just one day, it's a one-off. So that's not part of your lifestyle, but we're talking about you having that habit, being conscious of the fact that my body needs to be hydrated, and we don't go
Mhm.
around depriving the body. So I think that's the most important message here.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You know, when you were talking, there's this thing I wanted to ask you. I've heard, and I think, I don't know if I read it somewhere or heard it or maybe listened to a documentary, but they were talking about rice. You know, when
Yeah.
you come to our community, we are cooking rice, we are frying rice, we are
Ah,
boiling rice.
ah, ah,
Anything you can think of, we're using rice for, we're eating rice almost every day. Me
yeah.
personally, I love rice. Hey, I
Yeah.
can eat rice Monday to Friday. I don't, it doesn't really bother me, but is it healthy for us to eat that much rice?
Right. It's just like, well, you're saying, you said something about our community. So like I
Mm,
said, and I'm still keeping that picture there about the Eat Well guide. So for
okay.
somebody, it will be bread. For another person, it will be pasta. For another
Mm,
person, it will be potatoes. So
mm,
it's about, so the question here is about the starchy carbohydrates. I believe that's what it is.
yeah.
So it's about um portions. And if I could move this, if that
Yeah.
will be, talk about what's a portion. Okay, so it's about portions now, the quantity of
Oh.
food we we have.
Hmm.
So portion size is very, very important. When we talk about a portion, so particularly when we talk about the 5 a day, which I know most people have heard, the 5 a day is also, again, is a public health message of encouraging people to have 5 different portions of fruit and vegetables as part of healthy eating to help us. So the
Hmm.
portion is what simply fits in your palm. So Lauren, your portion is what fits in your palm. Okay, and for a child, that's what fits into them. And in fact, maybe the pure biologists will tell us, or the anatomists or doctors will tell us, that the size of your stomach is actually this, like the size of your hand,
Really?
averagely. Averagely, yes, except that it is, so
Ah.
when it's at rest, that's what it looks like. But it has the ability to expand because it's a bit elastic.
Mm,
But there's all, for
okay.
everything that's elastic, there's a limit to how much it can go. So
Sure.
it's also about communicating with our brains, because our brains communicate when we are hungry, when we are full, and all that. We listen to ourselves and we know.
Mhm.
So I'm saying this because it's still linked to the portions. We can train ourselves to know what fills us, and then we stop. Back to the question of rice, because of course I deviate too much. Back to the question of rice, about the starchy carbohydrates and what we put. So for rice, and for another person, whether it's bread or pasta or anything, it's about going for the options that have more fiber. So rice is a grain, is a whole grain,
Mhm.
but it's important we go for the whole grains that have not been processed or polished. So the white rice that we usually would have, commonly would have, would be the white one, and that's the one that's been stripped of its bran or outer covering, which is
Really?
where most of the fiber is. So brown
Mhm.
rice has that. So when you see brown rice, this is kind of the natural state when it's
Yeah.
harvested. That's what it has the bran around it, so the outer
Mhm.
covering, and that's the part that has, interestingly, most of the nutrients,
Oh,
and then
wow.
of course,
Okay.
so most of the vitamins and the minerals that we would normally derive from rice,
Mm.
and And so the advice will be, if we are having rice, yes, by all means, is that's a staple, that's fine. But how about going for the whole grain version of it? So eat more brown
Um,
rice. You could split the
okay.
proportions. If you're having 3 days in a week eating the white one, how about the other 3 days trying the going for the brown one? Yes, so that we can
See.
balance things out. The
Mm-hmm.
same with bread.
Mm-hmm.
If it's white bread, how about we go for the wholemeal one? Or these days
Mm.
we've got the 50-50, best of both.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you can have, yes, so that, because for some food items,
Mm-hmm.
having the whole grain versions may not necessarily be attractive. They may not, taste wise,
Seven
they may
days.
not
Yeah.
be too acceptable, if you like.
Mm.
So we find ways, and I believe that's the idea behind this mixture of best of both.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
half and half, if depend on who brands it as what,
Mm-hmm.
but we
Mm-hmm.
understand the concept of having the polished one, and then
Yeah.
the naturally occurring one with a brand on. So that's it about the rice. um Sometimes the messages can be a bit um extreme depending on who is putting it out. But yes, rice, we can't demonize rice and say rice is no,
Mm-hmm.
it is a staple, and
Mm-hmm.
like any other staple for a different group of people. If you don't use it well, or you don't eat it appropriately, in the long term you end up with issues. So it's about, one, the portion, and then also the form in which we have it, whether it's the whole grain or the very polished one. Different varieties of rice. And I'm not here to advertise for anybody, but some have more starch than others. Different,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else, different varieties or species, as we would call
Mm-hmm.
them. Some would
Mm-hmm.
have more. So that's what it is. I hope
Okay.
I've answered it. Try
Yeah,
to make it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as
Because you know,
to cover all the other carbohydrates as
mhm.
possible.
I started getting worried. I was like, hey, so if they're saying now rice is also not good, what are
So
we
what are
gonna
we
eat?
going to
Because
eat
that's what we
then?
literally eat. In this country, that's like what we eat all the time. So it's good to
Yeah.
hear. But
Yes,
hey,
yes.
you have to really get used.
And balance it up with some very good source of protein, of course, protein with less
Mm,
fat, and then of
mm.
course some good vegetables, and then minimize the portion. Don't heap the whole plate with rice, like
That's
a
what I was gonna
mountain, and
say.
then
Hey,
nothing, but
Taliban
leave.
tobacco and some milk.
No, no,
Hey,
no, no. So when you have a plate and you're filling the
yeah.
plate, at least just what's in your palm. It's not. You probably need maybe three to make a third of
Mm-hmm,
a standard plate. Okay.
mm-hmm,
Yes. So when you look at your plate, for this starchy carbohydrate bit, a third of it should be that, and obviously that will be a little bit more than what fits in your palm. So when we talk about but when we come to the 5 a day, then we talk about five different portions of what fits in your palm
yeah.
over the course of the day, and then over the course of the week, or whenever you put your food together. Yes, but
Mm-hmm,
for the
mm-hmm.
plate, look at it in terms of a third, the coverage, the third, and in that context, that will be the portion of rice. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, that is clear. It's
Yeah.
really
Okay.
good you just answered that because someone just asked that same question. They were
Yeah.
like,
Just
they said,
a handful of rice. I understand you,
yeah.
whoever it is. I'm with you.
And so maybe I just have made chop fasting, and then maybe that'll be enough.
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really hungry, oh my goodness. Because Sister Mercy said good information, but some of us, our hand is really small, meaning a portion is like starvation.
Oh my
Should we
goodness.
add a bit to the portion?
How about you compensate for it with your vegetables? Add some more nyadwa or something.
Okay, okay, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good. The next thing I wanted to ask is, it's from what you were just telling us, is to do with the water. I'm
Yes.
not that bad. I try my best to drink. Sometimes I can go the whole day without drinking water, but what I tell myself is I've been drinking tea all day. I love my tea. I drink like five, four, how many I work before I come home. Would that equate to me drinking water, or I literally need to drink the water?
Okay, so think about it for from the point. Let's go here. So hydration.
Mm,
So water ideally, but other fluids. And in fact, to be honest, if you see most of these messages or the posters that you see around about drinking water that go with the Eat Well guide. It's about fluids, and sometimes the guidelines also depend on the area. And in fact, some local authority areas will just say water, others will say fluids. But the idea is hydration. So I like to use the word hydration. As long as
Okay.
you hydrate, the teas and the coffees basically contain water. But the danger with them is that if you have too much of those, particularly with the coffees and the teas, they contain high amounts of caffeine, which
Mm,
themselves may interfere with your absorption when you eat good food, for example.
okay.
Yes, so it's okay, at least you're hydrating, but my admonition will be to make certain small changes where you're balancing out the teas and the juices with water itself, because your body actually needs more water than those other fluids.
Mm,
So I
o-
would not say don't drink them at all. I would
mm,
rather say increase the water proportion of it. In terms of
okay.
if you're having 6 cups of tea in a day, how about we try and minimize it to two, so that the other four could go for pure water, because in the long run that will be better for you health wise.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this brings me to my next question. You know,
Hmm.
especially when you're like from your 30s and you hit your 40s,
Ha ha ha.
then you see the belly, it's like, oh my gosh, the fat doesn't want to go. You know, speak to someone who's in their 40s. What's the best way to eat healthy, and have that strength as well? And then yet, you have your belly flat and nice. I can't I'm praying to God to have that. So please, I'm listening. Over 40, speak to us.
Okay, here we are. I've got three simple messages for
Mm,
that. um Choose from a wide range of healthy foods. I mean, I've
mm,
just talked about Eat Well guide. It's a very good tool. I'll encourage people to refer to it. It guides you to just know what to put together. And then of course increase the fiber. The thing with fiber is that what it does for us is it helps with the digestion process. Okay.
mm,
And foods with fiber come with a lot of very vital enzymes that we need in the digestion process in to actually keep our digestive system healthy. And when your gut health is good, or your digestive system is healthy, it shows
mm,
on the rest of your body. Another thing with increasing fiber in our food, then you reduce the high calorie part of the meals that you have, which is mainly from the protein, and more from the carbohydrates, and then a little bit from the protein. The thing
mm,
about eating to give us energy is that when we eat the food, the body uses the energy, that we go about with our activities. But if we don't use it, then it stores it. And we only use our energy when we're active. So, those groups of people, 30s, 40s, or whoever,
mm,
in whichever age range, apart from very young children, if you're
mm.
noticing that you're piling up some flesh in certain, and most of the time, interestingly, they go to the wrong places, the places we don't want them
Ah,
to go to,
tell me about
unfortunately.
it. Oh my
They
God.
go there. They like to be stored there. Yes. So the body readily stores excess energy in the form of fat, and
Mm.
stores them for a rainy day. So it's also the body's way of surviving. It's a survival technique, if you
Oh,
like. So yes, so you eat food and say, okay, Lauren doesn't need anymore. She's used what she needs. Let's keep this for the next time she needs it, for a rainy day. And then she
mm,
keeps it. And then the next time you eat again, and then the one you stored hasn't been used, and then it goes up and it keeps piling up. So that's what happens. So the more active you are
mhm.
using up that what is stored, or before it's actually even stored, then
Okay.
you minimize the amount, or the chances of storing it in the wrong places, and then the
Mm,
amounts. So that brings us to the point of being active, which very, very crucial to being healthy. So you're eating healthily and staying active. That combination is fantastic to keep you healthy. So for the adults, eat well by all means, and then of course hydrate, we've talked about. And then I've also mentioned this along the point: read the labels, know what you're putting together, know what you're eating, know what you're going for. And by that, minimize high fat, high salt, high sugar, particularly when we get into those, the 40s as we get
Mhm.
older. Remember, as we get older as human beings, the functioning of the system begins to decline. So we've got, like everything else, it's like we go up, we peak, and then it begins to fall. So you've got
Mhm.
your peak, time when you are at your prime, and
Mhm.
then things begin to go down. So the obviously beginning of life, the peak, and then obviously you get to the dawn. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to scare anyone, but the fact of the matter is that as we get older,
Yeah.
our system becomes less and less efficient, which
Mhm.
means we also have to be careful how much we bombard it with, what we put in, and what it has to deal with.
Mm.
So beyond a certain age, definitely watch the portions of food and what you're eating, the quality of food, and all of that. So all of that come together, to keep us, nice and healthy, and keep those bulges away. But yes, one sure way is knowing that we get energy from food, and the excess is stored in that way. The best way is to use it up, be active, and it will be used up.
Okay. All right. And the next one that I had was, I think you probably have, but if you've got any more to tell us, that would be great, is speak to our teenagers. Now, they are the ones who, oh my gosh, yes, I'll not talk much, just speak to our teenagers right now who are listening to us, how to eat healthy. And before you go on, the eat healthy,
Well
is it
guide.
eat?
Eat
Yes.
well guide, yes.
Can we get it off of, can you go to Google and just, probably print it out and use it?
Oh
And
yes,
does
you
it help?
can. You can print it out, stick it on your fridge, or these, if you are able to access, get access into your GP surgery, you can ask for it, and you get it. There are
Ah,
lots of
that's good to
flyers
know.
around. Stick one
Okay.
on the fridge, so anytime you're tempted to open it to pick something, you look at it, and then it keeps you on track.
Okay.
Yes,
And
so it's available. You can Google it. It's available. Just type in "Eat Well Guide" and it would come up, and you'd get it. There's lots of information on it out there. NHS
yeah,
England, anywhere, even just Google, it will come up.
okay. And if
Yeah.
someone is probably, listening and they're thinking, I don't really know how to read the labels. I don't really know how to get the balance of what calories, how many calories are needed in this and how many calories are needed in that. Would
Okay.
the mm,
Okay, let's do a quick label reading exercise.
go
So,
on.
thankfully, in the UK, and I believe in many parts of the world, the
Mhm.
food, the processed food, packaged food,
Yeah.
are labeled by law, particularly in the UK, are supposed to be, they're supposed to tell us
How
the
many?
levels of fat, sugar, and
Yeah.
salt. Those are
Yeah.
so that's what we call the traffic light labeling. So, if the food item you're going to pick on the
Mhm.
shelf has and there are ranges. So if it's beyond the what is considered the healthy range, it would show red.
Yeah.
If it's really really high, if it's in between, it will show amber. If it's green, then it's within
Mhm.
the healthy range. So for fats, sugar, and salt,
Yeah.
this is a requirement, on most packaged food, so that it would give you so you be informed, you make informed choices. You
Mhm.
know that this item has a lot of fat, so perhaps whatever I'm going to combine it with, whatever other food item, I should consider one that has less fat. And if this has more sugar, I should consider the next item one with less, so it balances out. Or can I go for the one that's more amber or green? So reduce fat, reduce sugar, reduce salt foods, always better than the full ones, the full
Yeah.
sugar, full fat. So example with milk, for example, I mean, for most adults, you don't actually need your the blue milk, which is the full fat milk or whole milk.
Mm.
You actually need the semi skimmed or skimmed milk, because those ones have most of the fat and the heavy proteins removed,
Mhm.
which most of the time we don't need and we don't really process very well. The main thing we get from milk most of the time is actually the calcium that we need. And for all the forms, skimmed, semi skimmed, and whole milk, is the same amount of calcium you get. So the calcium
Really?
is not tampered with. So which means that you're not actually missing out if
Ah.
yes. So that's one interest. That's why I decided to use milk. you're
Okay.
not actually missing out, because the main reason why you're having milk is because of the calcium. That's where most people
Exactly.
get their calcium from,
Mhm.
especially these days. Yes, and
Mhm.
of course other good sources will be fish and some greens, etc. But that's one classic example. And I've mentioned about the carbohydrates, going for whole grain versions instead of um the polished ones. And then of course, with drinks, you can always look at those that have either amber or green other than red, because some drinks definitely have too much additional sugar,
Yeah.
as we call
True.
free sugar added to them
Mhm.
in the process, and that also doesn't help. So that's it. Quick masterclass on label reading there. It's just
Yeah.
to just
Okay.
to know when you see those red, amber, greens, that's what it means, so that you know how to put your food together. Again, takes us back to um, Eat Well guide, putting the groups of picking from the right groups.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we don't have long, but I want you to speak to us, speak to someone. You know, Christmas again is coming. Our
Yeah.
families are coming to come together, especially a Ghanaian community. I want you to speak to us about the foods we eat and how we can eat that and eat it healthily.
Okay. So Christmas, it's a time where we're celebrating, and I don't know if you can
Woohoo!
see my screen now. So I'll just end by you putting up some examples
Mhm.
of certain foods here. As much as possible, let's try and make it as healthy as possible. Include more vegetables.
Okay.
Of course, wash our portions. I have an example there of our classic fufus. Not everybody would have turkey for Christmas, so
Yeah,
instead of having
it's
the
true.
fufu, with we love God for all His creations, but we don't have to put everything in the soup. You could have just remember, a third, only a third, even as part of the third, only as half of it is your protein. So just have some quality protein there, and of course there's nothing wrong with having your fufu. Have your fufu and your palm soup, granite soup, light soup. But also, how about having just a small bowl of, say, broccoli or something, some vegetable on the side, just to make it healthier. And I've
Mm.
got another example. If it's your banku, of course, minimize the palm oil there, just to
Yeah.
make it so it's just there are little ways we can we could enhance the quality of our food and make it a bit more healthier.
Mm.
Remember, the more colorful your food is, then the likelihood that it'll be more nutritious for you. So this Christmas, let's make our meals a bit more nutritious, add more vegetables, watch our portions, um and we'll be fine. So we don't end up running to the gyms in January,
In January,
which
that
is what we always do. The gyms,
always
that's when they
happens.
make the most money from sign-ups.
Seriously, seriously. In January, it's every time you turn on the TV, this type of gym, this type of exercise, this whatever. Oh my goodness gracious. So why
Yeah.
don't we eat healthy? And then in January, avoid listening to all of this or going to book to go to the gym to go lose weight.
Which we
Why
end
do
up
you have
not
to get yourself
going.
there? Yeah, which we exactly, exactly. Couple of months down the line, you're like, oh my God, I still have that weight still on. Ah, God
Yeah.
is good anyway. So don't forget, we watch our portions, make your
Yeah.
plate more colorful. And there was a third thing you said.
Yes,
Let's
make it more, um drink more water.
drink more water. Drink
and
more
and be
water.
active, and be active as well.
Mm,
Yes, let me just chip this in before we go off.
please go
It's
ahead.
very important while we're eating healthily to be active as well. The guidelines are for adults and young people as well, to do at
Mhm,
least 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise or being
mm,
active in a day. So that's not just your leisure walking, but
mm,
brisk walking, jogging, a bit of running. If you enjoy a sport, yes, by all means, at least 30 minutes a day is enough to keep you healthy if you keep that habit. So in a week, you try and do about 150 minutes. And even the 30 minutes in a day, you don't have to do all the 30 minutes at a go. You could do a 10-minute walk, come back another time of the day, you do another 10 minutes, but you try and make sure that in that day you've been active. It's just that you need to get your heart pumping a bit faster, so that you can improve your circulation and the body. It's a way of keeping the body going better.
mm, mm. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Oh, Reverend Hannah, thank you
Sorry, I've
so
had
much.
to rush through everything.
Oh, I know because of time. I apologize.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm probably gonna, ask the viewers as well if you've got any questions or anything that you would want Lady Reverend Hannah to, come back, a particular topic that you would want her to go deep into. Please feel free. You can either put it on the platform here or even just send me an email or send a Global Web Network. Send an email and we're gonna go back and speak to you. I want to believe you wouldn't mind, sometime in the new year. So we'll go, in depth. I mean, whatever it is you want to know. Patience, hi, happy birthday to you, Sister Patience. Could see happy birthday from the Greystone family. She said, "Good evening, lovely people." Sister Rosamond said, "Have it once in a while." Okay, so that was it. Does not hurt when you were talking about the crisp and the other stuff. Okay, Sister Patience said, awesome program. Thank you. Mama Dwa said, eat well, guys, with a thumbs up. Definitely. I'm going to go Google that and get that out. I hope my son is listening. Mr. Tony Korang said, God richly bless you, ladies. Very timely and informative. God bless you too, sir. Messia Hiaku said, good information. Okay, so I've already read that. And then Nanaya Frimpon said, refined caps with fragrance. Well, oh, I think he was talking about the rice. Na Akoa said, yes, that's very clear. She said, thank you. And then Namaya said, sometimes we eat without making room for water in the stomach. You know what? It's true. Sometimes I have water by my side. I've decided I'll drink water, but by the time I'm done eating, I even forget to drink the water. So sometimes, yeah, we overdo it. We overindulge ourselves.
Yeah.
Before we end the show, we have this Omicron or whatever it's called, this mutant of the
Oh.
COVID that's out there. And we can see on the news that it keeps increasing every time. Now, I've heard a lot about, oh, go take zinc. Someone says take vitamin D. Someone says elderberry. My twin, if she's on here, she's a nurse. She went, Lauryn, go look for elderberry. So that gummy, So I went and bought some last week. Someone says, oh, go eat more greens. Someone says go for lemon, and then someone says no, lemon actually makes your throat dry. Go for lime. Someone says go for ginger. Go. There's so many things out there. As a nutritionist, what advice would you give to us? With all this Omicron and whatever else out there, to keep our immune systems boosted.
Okay. So first of all, with COVID, we've all learned over the last nearly 2 years now that it is an infection that hits the immune system first, and then all that's the mode of its operation, and it starts the destruction that way. So that tells us that it's very, very important to always build our immune system, boost it, keep it as in the best form as possible. Vitamin D is one of those vitamins that's very crucial when it comes to the immune system. Zinc also does very good to that. So all of those things you heard, the vitamin C's, the elderberries, so all of those, and it's amazing, vitamin C's come back here, and elderberries and all of the others, they contain what we call antioxidants, and antioxidants are also very good with keeping you healthy, particularly dealing with those should we call radical free radicals, or toxins that may put your body down, or actually bring down the immune system. So anything that would take them out would also boost the immune system, would help. So antioxidants, even vitamin E, vitamin C. I mean, our oranges. We're back to our orange juice. So
Yeah.
so all of those, elderberry also, and a few others, even our own hibiscus leaves, our own
Oh yeah.
sobolo
So
and the
well.
rest, they
Ooh, I love it.
high,
Yeah.
very good source of antioxidants. So those are good. So with COVID, with whatever variants we come across, of course, as we can see, the trend is each as it mutates, it gets more destructive, more
Yeah.
infectious, and
Yeah.
that's how viruses behave. So it's even more important for us to be very much aware of, and be and look after ourselves, eat healthily, and where we need to boost our immune system, let's do it. Vitamin D is also very critical because of the time of the year we find ourselves. Vitamin D, the best form of it we get from the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and during these months we won't see the sun for another 6 months or so before we can, even when the sun is out, how many times do we expose our skins to get the best
We're
form that we
cold.
can get? So our best bet is to boost that up with supplements, so vitamin D. So at this time, in fact, the message, the public health message is that everyone should take extra vitamin D supplements, because for the population, particularly those of us in the temperate regions, we are already deficient. Our vitamin D levels are low. So if your vitamin D level is low, your immune system is a bit down, then you're more susceptible, or more at risk of allowing the infection to get you down,
Mhm.
for most people. So that's why this whole talk of vitamin D, but that's where the link is. It's about the immune system, boosting it.
Mhm.
So yes, it is important. The message, I mean, this is the opportunity to encourage everyone to make sure you're having your vitamin D supplements at this time. Is definitely encouraged. Anything else to boost your nutrients, zinc, when it's vitamin C, any others, please do. But I must state here that we shouldn't depend so much on the supplements. They shouldn't be a replacement of eating properly. It is
Mhm.
eating well, healthily balanced diets, and then just adding this. That's, as it says, supplement. So it's supplementary, is in addition to, but not to replace our healthy eating. So it's very, very important.
Okay. And so if someone says, okay, I hear you, boost my immune system, but I've got the Omicron in my system right now. I
Mm,
tested and I tested positive. So what are some of the things, like, I mean, apart from taking this elderberry, vitamin D, zinc,
mm,
and something to boost my immune system, what else can
mm.
I do?
Okay, so for someone who's already positive, of course,
Yeah.
you need a medical professional, a doctor. Your
Mm,
GP definitely would. So depending on, how much the infection. So so the way we've seen the trend, the way COVID, has
yeah.
acted or has shown us, is that depending on the state of your immune system, you could either be hit hard or mildly.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if your immune system is already low,
Mm,
in terms of its state, then you can tell that it would hit you hard. If you get it
yeah.
mildly and you kind of escape it that way, then yes, by all means continue to boost your system. But for someone who is positive and very ill, then at this time, the most important thing is to focus on getting well, getting
Mhm.
treatment actually, because I believe for some people, they do get prescribed certain medications to help with the infection. Because it could be that for some people they get some pneumonia with it, and all kinds of things. So it's important that you get a doctor, you get doctor's advice. And for some people, they would need some prescription, some medication
Yeah.
to treat the condition. And then of course, when you're getting in, you're getting better, or when you're better, then you work on building your immune system. Sometimes right in the middle of the infection, probably because your system is already kind of messed up, you
Mhm.
may not actually make good of what you're taking in terms of your vitamin D or whatever. So I would say it's important, particularly for people who feel ill, it's important that you speak to a medical person, professional, a
Mhm.
doctor, so that
Mhm.
you get the appropriate treatment first, and then of course you can we look at all the other preventive um,
Okay.
ways to keep us as
Mhm.
healthy as possible, so that even if
Mhm.
you get exposed again and the infection, you get the infection again, at least it will probably be lower, or it would affect you less, or it'll be
Mhm.
milder than a more severe one. But ultimately, I hope we hope and pray that everyone will look after themselves,
Sure.
be healthy,
Sure.
let's all be sensible, don't expose yourself, don't be we know we've by now we've all learnt of the mode of transmission. It's very infectious. It's transmitted in the air, air bubbles, which are
Mhm.
invisible. And so in crowded places with most people, you never know who is infected. So the most
That's
important thing
true.
is to stay away. So that's why we're being encouraged to keep that distance and stay away from gatherings, because you wouldn't
Mhm.
know who is there, because it's in the air. So
Mhm.
that's also the best way to at least minimize, because I don't think it's 100%, but it's about minimizing
Mhm.
and being more sensible, like we're saying.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
healthy, minimize your exposure to the infection, and then hopefully we will all be stay well. And even if you get infected, it won't be devastating, and we won't be talking about a different story. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. It's been very informative this evening. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for another section. I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it.
Great.
Now Akoa says belly fat chai. I'm telling you now, I'm just, I'm like, hey, God, it has to go now. Even if I have to
You know,
prophesy to you, apart from
I tell
exercise, it
you.
has to go down. Kai. Mama Adam already said very informative program. Thank you to so much, mommy. And I want to say thank you so much. I know being a lady reverend, a mother, a nutritionist. You know what? I was actually going to ask you this before we wrap everything up. If someone wants to call you, they're like, my child doesn't like to eat, or I had this actually happen to my one of my sisters, where her son, between, I think, right from birth to like 3 or 4 years, he wouldn't eat anything that he has to chew. He only wanted milk or something that he could drink. Chewing, he didn't want to chew anything, no food that has to do with chewing. He didn't want it. So I know the people that are listening out there who probably have issues, with their children and their eating habits. And if they want to reach out to you, is it okay for you to give us your contact number for them to, come for professional advice on
Yes, yes,
nutrition?
by all means. I am available for that.
Okay.
I'm happy
So
to
I'll put your number down.
support. Yeah. So that example you gave is not strange at all. So there
Really?
are, yes, it's not strange. So
Wow.
children, sometimes that sounds quite common with
Mm,
fussy eaters. So some people start that way as children. They
mm,
just prefer food in a certain way, certain texture, and then But yes, there's always help with all of that. How to encourage them to go not too smooth or liquid, but then, because as you grow, you need to graduate from the milk to
true. That was the
semi-solid and all of
worry.
that.
That was
Yes.
the worry.
Yeah,
He
it
wouldn't
can be
eat
worrying. I
anything.
mean, it can be very worrying for any parent, and yes, but these things do happen. And but the good news is
Okay.
that there is help. So if anybody needs help, yes, just reach out for the help, and then get advice, get help, certain techniques, what to do.
Mm,
For some children, it's about the presentation, or it's just the look of it, what it looks. Some children just like bland food, so they don't want colorful stuff. And
yeah.
for others, it could also be a health condition, which could be
Hmm.
affecting that. Yeah. So there is help. The most important thing is to be able to identify what is it that's causing that.
Thank you. Mm. All right. So is it okay for me to put your number out there for someone to try and reach you, or maybe?
Yes. No, that's
Okay, I'm
okay.
ready.
Yes, I am registered, so I am able to do that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Uh, I was waiting for you to tell me the number, then I'll put it down.
Oh, okay. So do you want me to mention it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it's 079
Uh-huh.
08
08
71
71
93
93
66.
66.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's 079 087 19366.
that's correct. Yes.
Thank you. So that's it. So that's Reverend Hannah. Thank you so much. Okay, done. All right, so that's it. So we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much. And remember, you have to make sure you have your water, the portions you eat, to make sure your food is colorful, you've got your nutrients in there, and stay healthy. Stay healthy. And lots of, I won't forget that one. Drink water. Lauryn, drink water, drink water. I will. I will. I will. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to come and advise us on nutrition. I want to say thank you to every single person, all the guests that we had on over there from the middle of this year till the end. Lady Reverend Monica Bento and Dr. Samuel Bento. Thank you so much, Daddy and Mommy. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Doreen Carter, the CEO of Global Word Network. I want to thank Mrs. Lauryn Shepeku. I want to thank Lady Rose Monsera Afo, Pastor Edmund Manliv, Lady Eunice as well, Betty. I remember Miss Betty Bands, every single one that has been a guest on the Greystone Show, and especially those of you that tune in, because without you, there will be no show. So thank you. Those on the radio, those on YouTube, and those right here on Facebook. Thank you so much. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas, they say, and a prosperous 2022. If Jesus does not return, January on the 12th, the Greystone Show will be back again. Stay blessed.
Bye.
I'm waiting for the IT team right now. But Lady Reverend, you can, Hanatu, you can leave when you're ready. Thank you so much.
Trouble goes.